Good evening, everyone. This is Adam Shartoff, and this is Filmwax Radio, show all about the film scene here in Brooklyn. Film lovers can listen to lively conversations with local filmmakers, programmers, journalists, and others, all of whom contribute to the creative fabric of Brooklyn, and in particular, to its robust film scene. You're listening to Filmwax Radio at bboxradio.com, streaming live from our temporary winter digs here in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And welcome, Quenell Jones.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. Doing very well.
Cinematographer. You found our place okay?
Yes, I did. It took a little trouble, but I got it.
Do you make your way to Williamsburg frequently?
Yes, I do actually. A couple of friends of mine live in this area, so I've probably here a number of times.
Now you have something of a. Oh well. First of all, let me take a step back because I did introduce you at the top of the show, but I'm going to reintroduce you now. Your name is Quenell Jones. You're a cinematographer. Do you prefer cinematographer or director of photography?
It doesn't matter for me. It depends on what the conversation is. Director of photography or cinematographer, it doesn't matter. I do it all.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Just to the average listener. Well, we'll talk about that in a second. But you also just came off of a couple of films recently, one of which is My Brooklyn. We've had a couple of people from My Brooklyn on the show already, including Kelly.
Oh, yes.
Kelly Anderson, the director, and Fievel Rothberg was on a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And now I'm glad. Thank you for coming on.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me. My Brooklyn was it was a great experience. Had a fantastic time working with Kelly and Fievel. We went around the city, filmed a lot. We also developed a Kickstarter program to help get the film off the ground because I guess you could say I came in at the last. I was one of the last cinematographers to come in and help Kelly. I guess consider myself more of the, the last better, so to speak, or something like that, to really put the film over the top, which I'm so happy to be a part of. Kelly was really fantastic to really work with and everything of the sort. So
she inspire you as a technically and artistically, or?
Kelly and I definitely had a few intellectual debates about process, which was great. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's what I really like to have with directors, just to really talk and dive into the guts of the project. And Kelly really, really knew her project very well, obviously, for being with it for a number of years and me coming in towards the end of the project. But considering that I worked on a number of documentaries similar to that, I call them like David and Goliath type stories. Mm-hmm. Right. That wasn't my first time working on those sort of documentaries, so it was I was able to add, I guess you could say, my flavor with her past experience, and we was able to come to a really, really good point to help push the film over to where it is now.
So you're saying, in a sense, you kind of spent a little while feeling each other out, creatively speaking, and then we're able to really lock in together?
I wouldn't say that. I think it was, Kelly and I, we worked and we just started pretty much filming. But throughout that time, we continuously talked about the process, what really the film is about. Is it really a class warfare, or is it about race? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Considering that I'm African-American coming from the hood, so to speak. So, it was just that conflict. What is it? What is the crust of regentrification? Why does it exist, and all that good stuff? So, it was an excellent time having a conversation with Kelly. She's a smart cookie.
Yeah, she has a very strong passion or passionate feelings on the subject.
Oh, yes.
Obviously,
Very
and you would
passionate.
need to if you or you're going to stick your neck out and make a film like this.
Just to have the fortitude to go that long. You have to have the passion. Mm-hmm. It has to be there.
And where did that fit in? Because I also recently saw Joe Frazier when the smoke clears, mm-hmm. And I had seen that at Doc NYC. Mm-hmm. Said hello afterwards.
Yes, exactly. Hello.
You didn't know it at that moment, but I was greasing things. I started kind of sort of setting up the stage so I could send you that email inviting you on, and I knew you wouldn't be able to. Once you met me, you would feel like a personal steak.
It's okay, but the grease worked then, so it's okay.
Well, yeah. And so there was another film. I mean, you mentioned David and Goliath. This is mm-hmm. kind of this is a guy who, in a sense, was a Goliath.
Yes.
And then sort of morphed a bit into more of the David, mm-hmm. in a sense that he was up against I don't know. I think his expectations or of a celebrity, of a former celebrity, or well, he was a celebrity to the end. This guy, people was still
International legend.
Yeah, he was a legend to the end, and an icon.
International icon is something that I had the pleasure to experience. While filming Joe Frazier, while we was filming, because overall it took about 5 years to do. You
were involved all those 5 years?
Yes.
Wow.
The director and I, we chatted over the film for about a year before we even shot anything, just through research and everything of the sort. Then we shot the documentary for about 2 years. And then there's an editing process and also archival process, and that took another 2 years. But during that particular time, I was in close consultation with the director, and we've been going back and forth and everything of the sort. So yeah, it's been... I would say 5+ years now, considering that is way beyond the 5-year mark, because considering that we pretty much finished the film towards the end, well, actually the beginning of 2011, but we still had like our preview screening where Joe Frazier was able to see the film, and he actually said, if you really want to check out anything about my life, check this film out.
So quite an endorsement.
It was a fantastic endorsement. We was actually quite shocked to have that sort of endorsement from Joe Frazier. And then it was just another shocker to have him pass away on the 8th. It was kind of unexpected. We knew several weeks before he passed away because, we was on the inside, so to speak. But it was still kind of unexpected to us because we thought he was going to recover and everything of the sort, but he didn't. And considering that the Doc NYC premiere was on the 7th, November 7th, and Joe Frazier was supposed to be there and, present the film and everything of the sort. It was like our big New York premiere. And he passed away the day before, which was just quite interesting. The director and I, we didn't know how to be, if we were happy or sad, or we didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
it was quite Mike a weird
Todd.
moment. Yeah, Mike Todd, which is director, fantastic director. I worked with him. We shot a couple of documentaries together.
Oh, you did? Okay. Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you also how you guys met, but you have a history. Mm-hmm. I was at the sort of opening night festivities of Doc NYC this past season, its second, and they had, it was Werner Herzog's new film.
Yes.
The one since Cave of Forgotten Dreams. It was his second film of 2011. And that night afterwards, I met Mike, and he was telling me about Joe's state of health, and that he was not going to make it to the screenings, and it was quite a. I could see he was really. This is Mike I'm talking about. That he was really bothered on some level, and he mentioned that Joe was in the hospital, and he wouldn't even allow his own kids to come in, his grown kids, obviously, they're to come in and visit him in the hospital because of his feelings of how he looked, and he didn't want that to be the last way his family saw him, I suppose.
No, it was very tough on Mike and I because we've been around him for a number of years. We follow his story. We've actually, interviewed his best friend from back when he was down in Beaufort, South Carolina, his sister, who also is no longer with us. You know what I mean? So it was like, so it was, we do definitely have I guess you could say a small connection with Joe Frazier in some small way. So definitely we felt I guess you could say the anguish in regards when we found out that, Joe Frazier was sick and, he was dealing with liver cancer. But, I really felt that he was going to try to pull it through because, this is Joe Frazier.
Right.
What I mean?
Last round.
There's one last round, you know what I mean? So, but when I heard the announcement worldwide, when there's the newspaper blast, that's when I knew it was inevitable because we was trying to keep it a secret for a number of weeks, and it was inevitable then at that point.
Yeah. Do you find that your process and approach to your work in, let's say, the two most recent films that you've worked on, My Brooklyn and Joe Frazier, is there more similar ways of going about your work in two different projects like that, or can they be really very, very different experiences? as the cinematographer? I know you came into My Brooklyn later on, but let's just take the piece that you were involved with.
Mm-hmm.
Or, can you compare those experiences or are they completely
I only think I could really
different?
compare it to those particular experiences that I shot with the camera, But other than that, the conversations that I had with the directors are completely different. Their passions are completely different, which I enjoy. To me, that's the beauty about working with different directors, because you're able to explore, their own personal experiences, whatever life experiences that they had, and bringing it to the particular project. So I couldn't say other than the fact that I was hitting the big red button, that was similar. But in regards to like process and the project itself, it was two separate documentaries, with two separate styles and two separate set of focuses. So, I respect documentaries in that fact, because you don't know what exactly you're going to get.
Right.
It's like a bag or whatever.
Right. It's the mystery bag.
Exactly.
We're talking to Quenell Jones, the cinematographer, Quenell Jones. And do you find is it a very much a collaboration, or is that also maybe it's just depends on the filmmaker and how much he's willing to or she's willing to collaborate, or is it something that you really insist on? And it can be just the look and the feel, or have you had the experience where they know the look and the feel and you're there kind of more as the technician maybe, or?
Yeah, I don't mind working with directors who know the look and the feel, but the thing is they don't know how to light. So, or they don't know how to frame exactly usually, even though a lot of directors, may have studied, the life of cinematographers or know a little bit about cinematography, but they're still not cinematographers. They're a director.
Are there any directors that have sort of transcended that and are able to sort of, that you've noticed that can sort of pull it off? Or
I work with plenty of directors who know what lenses they want, who know what shots they want and everything. So I'm very comfortable working within that particular realm. It just still, even within that, I still have artistic choice, because just the act of setting up a camera and the act of moving with the characters or the actors, whatever the case may be, is there's still choice there. So I work with all sorts of directors. Some are more writers, some are more deal with the characters or the actors, or the subject more. Some like to deal with the writing more. So it completely depends on the director. Every director is different.
Where did you grow up?
I was born in Chicago, Illinois, but I also went to high school in Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm a little bit all over the place. I came here to New York for undergraduate, but also lived in England. That's where I went to graduate school.
Okay.
And that's where I actually met Mike Todd, and I was able to shoot several documentaries and everything of the sort while I was over there. Then I've been back in New York, and I've been in New York pretty much since 1998. So,
were you in where'd you go to graduate school?
I went to graduate school at the University of Salford in Manchester, England. So it was fantastic.
Okay. Oh, so you had a very, because I know the North has got the the kind of the steeliness and the it's very much we're sort of more of the working class sort of vibe goes on up there, and it's kind of like the cold and damp and a lot of that drama. The north of the Lake District, and it's a great. I love that area.
But they can party, which is excellent.
Well, what else is there to do?
It was great. I had a fantastic time in Manchester. It was like England is almost divided in the fact of London and the rest of the country. So it was quite
right.
So
provinces.
It's like London and the North.
Right.
So the North is considered everything outside of London. So that's Manchester and Birmingham included. But I had a fantastic time in Manchester.
Yeah, Liverpool, I suppose.
Yes, Liverpool. That's where I shot the other documentary. I was telling you that I shot other documentaries similar to My Brooklyn. It was a documentary called Capital or Culture that I shot in Liverpool. There was like a feature documentary, another David and the Goliath type of story, where the Duke was coming in and pretty much regentrifying the entire neighborhood. And
oh wow,
it was like and I don't know if you remember like the St. Mark Street, when it was really eclectic with Kim's Video, the whole 9 yards.
Yes, just vaguely.
Yes,
I did. I grew up in here in New York. So
well, it was a place in Liverpool called McQuiggin's that was basically that same sort of feel. that was basically going to get shut down. There was this massive protest. That exactly was the culture of Liverpool, et cetera, et cetera. So. So I've seen, I guess, in another country, this whole David and Goliath regentrification process take place. So, it happens everywhere.
Talking to Quenell Jones, cinematographer here at bboxradio.com. Quenell, did you have this in mind that you were going to become a cinematographer? Were there cinematographers that you, as a young comer, that you kind of looked up to or inspired you, or did you fall into this sort of accidentally or in a sort of unplanned way? I don't know. You don't meet a lot of people who say, I'm going to be a cinematographer. So I'm sure there are plenty, but I'm just kind of curious. I'm always keen on who the cinematographers are as a geek, a film geek, but I'm just wondering who goes into it thinking, I want to be the guy who knows all the lenses and,
Yeah, it's not many of us. Even when I went to film school, it's like, who wants to be a director? And it's like 1,000 people raise their hand. Who want to be a cinematographer? It's me and like some dude in the back. You know what I mean? I'm well aware it's not many of us, but no, there's something I've always wanted to do. I've always been interested in the camera. I've always been interested in the image and the storytelling aspect of it. And I've been also interested in documentary. One of my first, I guess, loves, I guess you could say, was nature documentaries, believe it or not. I really, really enjoy the cinematography coming from nature documentaries because you have to be patient to get that shot. You know what I mean? And it takes a while to get that particular shot. It takes a while to get that essence of those particular birds doing that particular thing. You have
to sit there for 6 hours.
At least 6 weeks, and sometimes,
Yeah, because that's that slug or that marsupial somewhere in the outback is gonna outweigh
exactly.
You
it has nothing to do. It has nothing on this schedule but the role. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was. I had an interest in shooting nature documentaries that I know, which is a very strange beginning, but it lended itself to ethnographic, or I call it just normal storytelling documentaries, which I definitely feel more akin to because it's the storytelling element of it, which is quite interesting. And then I worked on a number of documentaries that took 4 years. My Brooklyn, even though it was a 5-year thing, I came in towards the last year. The Joe Frazier documentary was 5 years. Another documentary I shot for 2 years. I shot like several documentaries that took a year. So, documentaries to me, it takes time to really see the development of the character, so to speak.
And you don't necessarily, in a lot of cases, you go into it, you don't know when the story's going to be over. You don't know when that's going to happen. It's not like you have a script.
No, not at all. In a lot of cases, we did not know anything that was going to happen. And that's the beautiful part about documentary. You just don't know. You could plan all day. We could sit down all day with cross our T's and we could dot our I's. But once the ball is rolling, you just have to roll with the ball. That's the beautiful part about documentaries, which is great.
Do you have an itch to make your own to?
I've always shoot my own documentaries. One documentary that I produced years ago, produced and shot, because I don't consider myself really a director, I'm more of a producer, cinematographer, was a documentary on street art. That's one of the documentaries that took 4 years to do. We I don't know if some people out there are familiar with street art, like Swoon, who are some of the more famous street artists, Swoon and Andre the Giant and everything of the sort. They're like, we were filming them back in the 1999 era when a lot of people wasn't really looking at street art as a viable form of art anyway.
It's kind of just like consider like what graffiti might have been early on, which of course in itself is a street art, but where you sort of glue various things on lampposts.
Yeah, exactly.
At first, and now it's sort of come full circle.
Yeah, it come completely full circle. It's quite interesting to see the process because when we first was filming that documentary, people were talking like, oh, what is this particular type of art? This art, this art school art. It was like it was a joke, but now this is like it's prevalent on everywhere, which is quite interesting to me. But yeah, it was just. I don't know, Swoon. I don't know if you're familiar with Swoon and her work. Well, we've put up one of her first stickers, and she's now like a world-renowned artist. You know what I mean? So it's quite interesting. So the process of documentary.
She has Quenell Jones to sort of thank.
No, not at all.
No, but you're blushing. So.
No, not at all.
Okay.
She's a good artist.
I'm sure she would have been discovered even without your help.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much for coming on. The films are My Brooklyn, and I'm sure that I know Kelly's down to. We might do a screening, a rough cut screening. I don't know if I should be. This is not necessarily an official announcement in any way, shape, or form, but we might be doing a Filmwax follow-up rough cut screening. So
I'd be
hopefully
great
you can
to
make
see
it.
it. Yeah, I'd be great to see it. I wanted to see it the last time, but unfortunately, I was out of town with the Joe Frazier documentary,
Okay.
so I was I had to do documentary duty, so to speak. But no, I would love to see the documentary. I mean, I told Kelly the first time. It's a gem of a story. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see. I cannot wait to see the finished product. I'm glad I was a part of it in a small way, so to speak.
Brooklyn is so iconic that those outside of Brooklyn will maybe think it's such a Brooklyn-centric film, and it's certainly on one level it is, but on very many other levels it's a universal story about what's happening to cities and towns all over the country and indeed in all over the world.
Yeah, it just happens to take place in Brooklyn, but no, it's a very universal story about regentrification and just the redevelopment of cities as a whole. No, it's a beautiful story.
So I'm sure that that and as well as Joe Frazier, When the Smoke Clears, will both be available.
Oh yes,
very soon to see for our masses out there.
Oh yes,
interested in good documentaries.
Oh,
so
yes.
Thanks for coming on.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Consider coming back when you have more news to break. I'd love to have you back.
Will do.
All right. Thanks a lot.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me, everyone.
Again, I want to thank Brandon Harris for coming on, and Quenell Jones. Thanks very much to both those guys for stopping by Filmwax Radio today. Coming up, the Filmwax film series on Friday the 13th at 7 o'clock. We head over to the Fifth Estate in Park Slope for a screening of Eric Leiser's Glitch in the Grid, a freewheeling, gorgeous fiction film. And on Sunday... by the way, after that, I'm going to go catch my friend Robert Green's screening of Fake It So Real. He was on last week, and I urge you to come out to rerun Gastropub in Dumbo for at least the 10 o'clock screening. So come to Park Slope first for my screening. And on Sunday, January 22nd at 6, Adam Reed, who was here a couple of weeks ago, will be joining me for a special screening of his Spirit Award-nominated film, Hello Lonesome. Again, that'll be at the Fifth Estate, 506 Fifth Avenue in Park Slope. And on Friday, it's a busy month, Quenell. On Friday, January 27th, join myself and filmmaker Marilyn Agrello for and the editor of Mad Hot Ballroom, Sabine I'm screwing up her name, Krayer-Buell, for a special screening of Mad Hot Ballroom. Terrific classic. It's already a classic. We're going to show that at PS11 in Clinton Hill. At 6:30 on the 27th. You can find out about all those films and everything else that I'm doing with the film series by visiting filmwax.com. I also want to mention tomorrow night I will be doing I'm moderating an independent film called Five-Time Champion, directed by Brent Mader, over at the 92nd Street Y Tribeca. and that's at 7:30 tomorrow night. I think it's sold out, but if you're really anxious to come see it, then go fly standby, get there a little early, and they always can fit in a certain number of people. So, lastly, I just want to thank Donna Zimmerman tonight, who was at the control board. Thank you for all your hard work and your technical expertise in making the show possible. This is Adam Shartoff. You've been listening to Filmwax Radio, coming to you from B-Box in downtown Brooklyn, or actually in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, where we're going to be for the next couple of months. Visit the Filmwax Radio show page at bboxradio.com for a full archive of past shows that are available both for listening or download. And next week we'll have tonight's show. Also, please feel free to email me with your suggestions and feedback at adam@filmwax.com. Thank you, good night, and until next week, we'll wish you nothing but the best. Thank you.